Hello friends, I hope you're doing well and you're enjoying the winter and you're keeping warm. So welcome to my garden in the winter. I just wanted to document this and share it with you so you can see what it looks like in the winter. So in front of us we have the pollinator garden bed, and I'm not going to go into much details with these plants. I've done it where the plants were in bloom, but I just want to share with you what winter interest looks like in your garden and why it's important to make sure when you create a garden you have all seasons of interest. Okay, I love looking at the blooms. Anyway, so let's get into this. So here we have the hardy hibiscus. So what I do, I just leave this alone. See, this is your winter interest. You're not going to be seeing any blooms in the garden. This is what winter interest looks like. So I leave it alone, and then in spring this is one of the last perennial to emerge from the ground. So you may be thinking, is my hardy hibiscus dead? It's not. Okay, so in the spring I come in here, and these are old cuts from before, and I cut all these sticks off, all of them, cut them off, and then you see the new growth emerging from in here. But in the winter I just leave it alone just to give the garden some winter interest. And then we have the black-eyed Susans here, and then we have Echinacea, our coneflower, and these I leave here for our garden friends. Okay, our pollinators need food in the winter, and it's very important if you have Echinacea in your garden not to cut them down. At least leave some for the birds. So do you see where these seed heads, that's where they eat? All those are signs that the birds were out here eating. And let me go around and I'll show you a little bit more of what it looks like. So the goldfinches and other birds, they will come here and they will sit on top here and they would eat off all these blooms. So these are the seeds from Echinacea, and right in here, that's where the birds eat. Okay, they try to get the seeds from in there. So very important that you leave your Echinacea up like this just to help our friends out. And this, as I said before, is our pollinator garden bed. And in the center here I have a bird bath. I purchased this from Lowe's for like $53, and it stays outside. It's concrete and it's really good. So you want to leave some water source for them too, not just the food but just some water. So that's why I leave the bird bath there. And I have a fish pond in the back, so they do go to the fish pond and drink the water. But this is what this looks like in the winter. And underneath the ground here I have a lot of bulbs in here. I have tulips, daffodils, lilies, a lot of bulbs here, which I can't wait to see them emerge in the spring, along with gladiolus. And right where I have those white rocks, I have special stuff planted there, so I know not to dig there. So I have to be careful if I plant anything here because it's covered in a lot of bulbs. But this is what it looks like, and that's the winter interest. Here's a close-up of it. Okay, and then I'm gonna go back over here and pan into the front. Friends, can you believe I got these two Arborvitaes for like $6 at Home Depot? They were the Christmas ones. Let me get the tag for you. Oh my god, it's stuck in there. Anyway, they were like the Christmas ones, and they had the red bows on top, and I purchased two of them and they were $6 each. Let me show you the tag. Here you go. Emerald Arborvitae, and you can see the red container they're in. I just stick them in a pot here for the holiday, just to give it some holiday vibes in the front. But I'm just gonna keep them here. They're not, this is not their permanent home. I'll probably put them in planters in the spring, but these are hardy, I think probably down to zones 2, so they can stay out like that. So in the spring I'll transplant them in larger pots. Then with your winter interest, so when you're planting your garden for spring, make sure you get some evergreen. So these are boxwoods right there. Your boxwoods will stay this greeny color, where your other shrubs will turn brown, like your roses. Here's the rose here. Like the roses, your hardy hibiscus, those will turn brown. And you have other shrubs that will stay the same. I'll show it to you in the back when we go in the back, but I want to show you, like, it's good to have some boxwoods and some evergreen to help with that winter interest. And before we go in the back, I have to show this to you. This is an alyssum I planted from seeds. I think this is the only thing blooming in the garden now. Okay, blooming. We had snow, we had frost, it is still blooming. Okay, and with the alyssum, what I did, I planted this in a pot When I put it in the ground, I don't like what it looks like, and I just put it in a pot. Just some seeds from the dollar store. And look at this, friends. Amazing. Absolutely love it. And then I have my hydrangea here, and then my spirea here, giving winter interest still, right? But let's go to the back, and then we have some other Arborvitae there, and Boxwoods, and the rose. Another Boxwood there. And then here we have the sedum. I just leave the sedum up for the birds too, because the birds love eating on top of here. So then in the spring, all this just come right out, and the new growth emerges from the ground, just like the hardy hibiscus. So here's the hardy hibiscus there again, another one. And I have to show this to you. I planted this late in the fall. This was a clearance rose from Lowe's. And look at it, it's green looking, and this is gonna get like 10 to 15 feet tall, I think, and white. It's a climber. So in the spring, I need to get a trellis so that way it could climb against the house. But it was very late in the fall, so I just used the trellis that it came with in the pot just to help it. So I can't wait to see what it's gonna look like. Can you imagine it has a bud on here? This is gonna be yellow. I think it's a golden, I don't remember the name, but look at the bud on here. So this is gonna get 10 to 12 or 10 to 15 feet tall and climb up on the house. So I need a trellis for that. Anyway, so let's go in the back and let's show you some other shrubs that's still giving me winter interest. And here's another boxwood. And yes, you'd be like, why is the garden messy? It's messy because this is my trap for the squirrels. I planted spring bulbs there, so after I planted the bulbs, I just put some twigs and sticks and all of that on there just to deter the squirrels from digging up the stuff, and it looks like it worked, right? And then here we have another hydrangea, winter interest going on, and I have a azalea right here, and then this is another hardy hibiscus. And then here we have some arborvitaes I planted. They're probably 3 years old, I think. Anyway, so let me show you one of the shrub I planted in 2023. Euonymus. Here it is. Look how pretty it is, right? It's just, it still has its color. Look at that. You look at this, you would never think it's winter. And then I have this falls holly. Oh, look at this, absolutely gorgeous. Still keeping its color, amazing. And then, oh, almost missed this, one of my favorite, this is the Nandina. Look at the Nandina, can you imagine that? Absolutely gorgeous. So with 2024 planning your garden, make sure you put some shrubs in there that give you winter interest, meaning it still give you greenery, right? Like those I just showed to you. And then here we have this blushing bright hydrangea. This bloom on old wood, so that's why I didn't cut it back. So all these, can you see that? All these are new blooms right here. All these buds, do you see how green these buds are? This is where it's gonna be blooming. So if you're not sure if you should cut back your hydrangea, I just strongly recommend you leave it alone. The first time I purchased this, I wasn't sure and I left it alone, and then I realized I should not cut it. So that's what I do. If you don't know, just leave it alone, and then you assess your plant in spring, and you can tell if they bloom on new wood or old wood. This is a sign this blooms on the old wood. Those are buds right there. There we go. And most of these plants were clearance plants from the garden center from Lowe's. And then here we have another Echinacea. The birds love it. You can see they were having some food right here. Love it, love it, love it. And then these are 2 new Nandina. I think these are the heavenly Nandinas. And look at the colors on here. Absolutely gorgeous. I love looking out the dining room and look at these. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And then here we have more Echinacea for the birds. So the birds come to eat the coneflower seed heads, and they get some water from the fish pond over there. Anyway, friends, I just wanted to show you what winter interest looks like in the garden. And this is more of my trap for the squirrels. I just put leaf in here, dry leaf here, to make sure the squirrels don't go to my bulbs. I did plant them 6 inches, but at least you know how the squirrels get. And then these white stones, I use them as marker in the garden, so I know I planted something there and not to go dig it up and plant it, because you know you plant stuff, you don't remember where you put the stuff, right? And then I have some boxwoods here. These will be planted out in the spring, but I just sit them there. And over here I have another Nandina. I have 3 of them hidden somewhat, protecting them from the frost because they're hardy to zone 6B. I'm in zone 6B, and normally when you leave a shrub in a container, you should at least take it down 2 zones lower. So I'm in zone 6B. This shrub is hardy from zone 6B. So with that being said, you have to make sure you protect it from the frost. So for example, if it was hardy down to zones 4, it'd be perfectly fine because I'm zone 6, but because the minimum zone for this to be hardy is 6, I just thought I need to give it some protection. So I have one over there, and I have another one here. Somewhat kind of sheltering it from the cold, from all the elements, and it looks like it's doing pretty well. And I wrapped up with some plastic there just to help with the root ball. And I have another one over underneath the tree. Anyway, so I digress there, sorry. And then let me pan around here slowly, and our winter jugs are doing well. I planted these maybe 2 weeks ago. We don't have any germination as yet, but they're doing well, and you can see they're still moist, and we should be getting some snow today. And if you haven't seen that video, I'll link it down below for you, where I did winter sowing in these milk jugs. And then let me share this with you. I love this. This is a fire and ice hydrangea. This bloom an old wood, so that's why it wasn't cut back. Absolutely gorgeous. Anyway, friends, I just wanted to share with you some winter interest in the garden. I don't want this video to be too long. Until next time, take care of yourself. See you in the next one. Cheers.